Hi everybody, it's Talia Rose, and today I wanted to talk to you about how to keep your marriage strong and really fun through your child rearing years. My husband and I just celebrated 8 years this last month, and it's just been such a great, fun adventure being married to him. He's a wonderful man. I love him more and more every year, and this new stage of parenting has been able to bring us closer together, and it's been just an amazing experience. So one thing that's really sad that you see very commonly is that parenting will actually kind of separate two people and slowly start to draw a wedge and a stress between people to where they start to grow apart and want different things and become different people, and they'll either end up separating or just be in a miserable marriage. And it's terrible because this is the time in your life as you're starting a family where you should be pulling in closer and really drawing together as a couple and as a family unit. And just talking with my husband and doing a lot of reflection about the 8 years of our marriage, I've kind of identified 3 main problems, or not, I shouldn't say problems, but challenges as you and your spouse become a parent, and how you can A, just stay aware of them, and then B, overcome them. First off, one of the biggest challenges as couples face and experience as they're becoming parents are learning your new role. There are far more tasks that are expected of you, completely different tasks, and the dynamic between husband and wife or partner and partner is that everything just kind of changes and goes kind of liquid and fluid for a while as you're kind of figuring out your new role. And it can be kind of easy at this time to be really short and snippy with your spouse, as maybe they didn't live up to your expectations or handle a situation like you would want it to be handled. But it's really important that you allow your partner grace and room to grow and learn, because just like you, they are starting on a whole new adventure, embarking in a completely unknown territory, and how your relationship was before it's going to be shifting and changing in ways that you don't even quite know yet. So rather than have the expectation that everything's just going to stay the same and it's going to be perfect and great and awesome, you gotta just kind of throw that out the window and understand that it is going to be good if you allow it and you work toward it, but it's going to change. It's not going to stay the same. And it can be good changes. It doesn't have to be bad changes. So you don't have to fear these changes, but you need to be aware that they are there. And then you need to make sure that you are giving your spouse the grace and the time to learn those new changes. The best way to battle this obstacle of learning new roles and trying to figure out where you fit in your parenting team is to A, be super open and honest with your communication, and kind of sit down and have powwows regularly. You know, check in with your spouse. How you guys, how you doing? How's everything faring? Maybe you're taking on a couple tasks and chores that is really not ideal for you and is stressing you out, and your partner is better equipped to handling that. Now, this is not an area to keep score where who's doing more and who's doing what, and you tally up how many diapers you changed. It has to be fair and even, because people's response to becoming a parent and what their gifts are going to be different. So don't expect a 50-50 kind of relationship. Expect to be giving 100% of yourself, and hope and encourage your spouse to give 100% of themselves, and you guys will end up being so much happier than kind of doing a scorekeeping and trying to make sure things are like 50-50 even. So as you guys are learning these new roles as parents, make sure you just give lots of grace to each other, have lots of communication, and don't keep score, and just continue to check in, reassess, and make sure those expectations are not unspoken, because they will be unmet if you haven't shared them. Number 2 obstacle to overcome is fear. And you may not identify it as fear. You may call it concern or worry or attentiveness even, but there is a large amount of fear that kind of grips you as a parent when you realize that this new little life completely has your heart and just has captured you completely, and you love them so much, and they're so vulnerable, and the world seems so evil and so harsh and terrible, And it's really a difficult kind of hurdle to overcome. And I don't know if moms maybe experience this a little bit more than fathers, since there's more that nurturing side to us, but it is definitely there. It's definitely big, and it plays a huge factor into how you're going to be relating to your spouse and to the kind of home environment you're going to create. So I think it's very important to be aware that fear and being really scared of things is not going to help your child or to help your family or to bring wholeness or wellness or even be able to protect them. It's important to be cautious to an extent and to make sure that you are very present and very aware and that you are safe and you're following proper protocol. But fear and worry is not going to help. Your baby is not going to be happier or healthier if you're staying up late at night and hoping everything is okay, or worrying and stressing about finances or whatever. That's not going to make you a better mom, and it's certainly not going to make you a better wife or husband. So make sure that you identify fear as fear and you don't confuse it with concern, or you don't let that fear begin to run your home and be the motivation behind the tone that you're setting for your new life as a mom and as a wife or husband, because it's going to take a toll not only on your kids but on your spouse as well. This fear also not only affects how you behave, but it affects how you look at your spouse's actions. So it's really easy to become hypercritical of your spouse's actions when you are just fearful of the unknown. And this is going to be where differences of parenting styles kind of rise to the surface, because you can talk about your parenting styles till you're blue in the face with your spouse, but you're not really going to know how your spouse parents till they have a baby of their own. And so you think you can be prepared for it, but you really can't be. So how the best way to handle this obstacle and this challenge is to first seek to understand, because fear is often fueled by the unknown. So if you first seek to understand what your spouse is doing and why, you're going to be less critical of their approach, and maybe you'll even learn something new. Because let's face it, our parents didn't get it right, and a lot of the parenting styles and techniques that we adapt and bring into our marriage and into our new family is what we learned and what we experienced and what we saw firsthand. So just because it was modeled to you doesn't mean that it's the best way to do it. So be open and willing to adopt new changes and to adapt to how your spouse is doing things. So sometimes it's hard, especially for women, to segregate and separate your parenting and isolate it to just your children. It can often bleed over into trying to parent your husband or parent other relationships in your life, and your husband does not need a mom, he needs a wife. And so try your best to isolate the parenting and keep it just focused on your kids, and to not be fearful of your husband's approach to things and just be instantly turned off by how he does things, but try to seek to understand what he's doing, why he's doing it, and if there needs to be some kind of correction, then try to do it in a loving, kind, nurturing way, not in a way that says, hey, you're doing a bad job as a dad, or I don't like that, and try to seek to understand. So that's the best way to combat the new fear element, is seeking to understand. The number 3 challenge is, as you become a new parent, it is incredibly difficult to save anything left over for anyone else, because parenting, it's very tempting for it to become an all-consuming, overwhelming thing. So important not to just become lost and gobbled up into the new role of mommy or daddy, and to make sure that you're setting aside time and just energy for your spouse, because your spouse has needs and wants that you should be filling. And if over long periods of time you're continually denying them those needs, even if it's out of love and hard work on your children's behalf, your spouse is going to begin, even if it's unconsciously, they're going to begin to look for those needs to be met elsewhere and outside the home, and that is the last thing that you want. If there's anything that's going to drive a huge wedge between you and your spouse, it's going to be that. It's going to be those unmet needs. You still need to date your spouse and to save time and energy and love and attention for them. It breaks my heart to see people that have been married for years and years and years. They raise beautiful family together, and once their kids move out of the house, that's it. They divorce and they separate, because those should be be the golden, awesome, happy years of your marriage. My husband and I even now are sitting and talking and dreaming about what we're gonna do when we have an empty nest. And not like I'm rushing for that. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old and I wanna soak up every day with them. And I can't even really picture what that would look like, but it's important to still dream and plan and sit with your spouse and plan a life outside of your children, because that day will come eventually. And if you are only focused on the right here and the right now, and you don't allow yourself to at least keep the end goal in mind, then you know your marriage is not going to flourish the way that it should, and it's not going to maintain that excitement and that fun dynamic that it had in the beginning. So anyway, I hope these things have kind of helped. If you have any challenges you face that I haven't discussed, please in the comments bring it up. Or maybe you thought something I said was off base, or maybe you have something you'd like to add. I would love to hear from you guys. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, guys. Bye.